young man. You too can become a hero.
You're in luck. I, regular attackers.
そうか。
This is exhilarating. Get excited.
Welcome back, everyone, to another week of Shonen Junk, and we are here with another tier list. I'm Ben, and I'm with my co-host
Edgar.
Another tier list. Interesting. What do we have this week, Edgar?
We have something that I really like about storytelling and anime in general. Power systems.
Power!
Power!
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
if you're new, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for more content like that.
To specify, if you notice that are one, there's some things missing because there's some things that we just clearly haven't seen yet that we don't really want to have an opinion on.
Yeah.
And then some
there's no Bleach on here because we haven't seen it.
Yeah. So if you're like, what about JoJo? What about we haven't seen it, and I feel like it'd be unfair.
I've heard JoJo stands are the best. After we're
to an extent,
exactly. When we see all that stuff and we feel ready.
Oh,
to
you mean
talk about
you mean the power?
The power.
The stands. I thought you meant the stands as in following.
Not the stands. The stands.
Yeah. The powers. Yeah. I hear the power system is good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Edgar, you're reading One Piece.
I am.
Let's start with this. Devil Fruits. I mean,
this is really not a good way. Well, for what I feel like there hasn't been too much on what we see.
Yeah, we should also talk about some of the stuff you've seen and some of the stuff I've seen and some of us we've both seen. So the ones that you've seen, you'll take care of. The ones that I've seen, I'll take care of. I know more about One Piece Devil Fruits, so I'll have more of what the verdict is on it. But Edgar still knows quite a bunch about Devil Fruits at this point.
So obviously Monkey has the rubber fruit. And then I've seen other cool ones like crocodiles, sands, and then the Ace's fire. Whatever.
Yeah, and the chop fruit.
Yeah.
Buggies.
So I don't like that one, but but there's a lot of cool ones, and each of them have their own weaknesses, and they're introduced pretty fluidly, and they don't exposition dump. They kind of explain it throughout fights. Yeah. And really bizarre, pretty unique, and I haven't gotten too much information on like what rules are, but there are some stuff like with crocodiles, like when fights, he's able to be attacked with. He can get Luffy can land hits on them since water, whatever. There's a clear and a distinct weakness. They can't swim. Anyone who has eaten the devil fruit. So that's one thing that I know as a fact, that even the villains, they can't swim because they've eaten the devil fruit.
Yeah.
Which is really cool, and it's straightforward to the punch. But it's nothing so big and grand scale to where it requires solving problems, and it's nothing. It wasn't the coolest one that I've seen. Obviously there's a lot of them out there, and I haven't seen that much of this anime, but so far it was a simple one. And it's introduced.
I think it's done
fluid.
well too. Yeah. I think Devil Fruit with the other power system that we can't talk about, I think it's an S. But I think Devil Fruits alone, I like the idea of, you eating a fruit and then getting powers. I think that's very unique, and it takes away from the power systems with, the stuff that you're born with, which isn't, we're not frowning upon that, but it's not the best. It's really overdone.
Give it a high B or a low A, because I think it's good. I just haven't explored enough. It's not cool to me, and it's not and it hasn't been delved in enough.
I don't think you've seen any of the really, really unique Devil Fruits yet. I think that really happens when you get more towards Marineford. For me, it's like a medium to high A.
All right.
So we A?
A. I'll be happy. I can live with that.
Whoops. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Don't get mad, One Piece fans.
F.
The next one is Quirks from My Hero Academia. I had to put this in as the second.
I feel like people really don't like Quirks when it comes to the power system. One, because they're kind of unfair and stupid.
Kinda.
Really stupid.
What about that one guy who just had a shark head? What was his quirk?
What about the guy who had a bottle spray for a head?
What about Wash and Go?
How is he in top 10 heroes? I don't understand.
Wash and Go, yeah.
They're really...
he's top 5, isn't he?
So
I think he's top 5 now because
a lot of
the heroes have died.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I would say that this is a manga heavy, video, so we might delve into light spoilers, but we'll try to avoid it. But I feel like Quirks, they're very specific with the rules. They have certain weaknesses. They explain them really well, and they're really fun to get into. But I feel like it's just there.
Yeah.
Well, to me, obviously, this entire story is about powers and superheroes. So there's always new stuff. We've been introduced to some that are way too OP for them to be functional for the story, but they've been kind of taken care of in ways already that we've seen.
Yeah.
But I feel like to the general public, I've liked it more than most people have because a lot of people hate it, and
I know
think
a
it's
lot of
boring.
people don't like it, but I think the premise of Quirks is boring. Like, I think it's literally just superpowers.
Yeah.
But I think the way Horikoshi uses them, I can't think of a really generic quirk, I think every quirk, what we love on the Manga Monday show, we love powers with a drawback. I think everybody has a drawback. Like, if Kaminari uses too much lightning, his brain fries.
Yeah.
I think that alone, the fact that they have a drawback to almost every quirk, I think that alone puts it at a high B or a low A.
I'd give it a B. I'd be happy
B?
with a
Yeah.
B. Yeah, because I said, it's
can do that.
really unfair. And if you have an OP quirk,
Yeah.
even with drawbacks, you're gonna be OP. Like,
Yeah.
like,
But you also have to think about it like the whole idea of the story, one for all for one. I think that's very clever. The fact that they have a villain who can steal quirks, I think, is very menacing and does well with the world. So I think that people really downplay quirks. I think that's really good.
yeah.
However, if you think about My Hero Academia Vigilantes, the quirks in there is probably a high F or a low C.
Wow, really?
Because the quirks super generic in there. Just like they're just kind of treated as mutations. Nobody has a really out there quirk like in the main series, which is one of the reasons why I don't think it's as good as the main series, like many people say. But yeah,
Interesting.
alrighty. Next one, we have breathing styles from Demon Slayer.
I did not think this was a power system. I mean, I don't care, but for one, but it kind of but obviously, of course, it makes sense. I'm gonna say this here and now. I don't care what the mangaka says. It is impossible for them to do half the things they do in the manga and anime if it was just swords. Because he said that all the visuals and the styles that they are isn't real. Like the fire that he said this. They said this.
What?
The fire that you see or the water that you see is not real and just a visualization of what. I don't believe that. There's no way that they can do half the things that they do without it.
No, that's cap.
I know.
No way.
But apparently that's what they said, and it is apparently canon. I don't buy it 100%.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no.
I don't know about that.
I know. Which is bizarre. I was like, what? There's no way. I don't believe it. But like I said, that I'm going off the stance that everything that we see in the manga and anime, like the fire, the water, and the whatever, they are breathing sword styles and ways to fight. But I'm going off the fact that those are real. Like the flames are real.
Yeah,
the electricity and
of
everything
that.
is real. Yeah.
If it's canon, it's gonna be an F because that's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
There's different types of styles. They all derive from the sun sword, style. It's just basically ways of fighting. They don't inherently use flames, even though I believe they exist. It's not like they're using the flames to attack their enemies, or they're using the water to attack their enemies.
Yeah.
It's the fighting style per se that they use, on how exactly to fight with different weapons, because they don't all use swords. They sometimes use I don't know, big, what is that one Hashira? So they're big chopping big axes or whatever.
Oh yeah, well, he's the stone Hashira.
Yeah, I don't know how to
uses,
describe his
stone.
weapon. He uses I don't know how to describe it. And then one of them uses a gun at some point that we see in the manga.
Oh right, he does use a gun.
I was like, what?
I was like, oh, I forgot that it is the bright period for guns.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, and then Inosuke has a weird different type of sword.
He has the beast. Yeah, I think his is beast style or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they have styles, and they incorporate them differently, not inherently in what their attacks are, but what they use their attacks for.
Yeah.
Lightning has enhances their speed and their fighting and their quick fighting style. Water is more defensive and fluid motion. Fire is more an abrasive attacking type. And
it does really well playing with actual sword styles, because the way of water, it's letting should be defensive. It's letting it flow, the flow of it. And fire is always more aggressive, which I think is interesting. I really like this. It is a simple idea, but I think it's executed really well, and it gives us some awesome moments.
Yeah.
Especially with the well, we shouldn't talk about that because that's a manga spoiler. But we get some great moments with it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I would give it a B because while it is there, it doesn't delve that much into it because it's not really a power system. It's more like a fighting style
Worse
technique.
or better than Quirks? I think it's just the same.
I think it's better because there's not that many flaws with it.
Sure.
Because there's no flaws with it really because it doesn't like it's really just there. But it like if you're right, if it was just nothing, like if there was no visuals to incorporate them with, that'd be like, that'd be dumb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. We put it all back. Sorry, something didn't load that I put in earlier.
That's all right.
So if you saw that, good little eyes on you. All right, this next one, Ignition Ability, Fire Force. I really like this.
I really like this one. I was thinking
really
like how many fire type of powers can you do with fire? And this is one of those power systems where you kind of have to roll with it because realistically, fire can't do half the things that you see in this
some
series.
of it can, like the freezing stuff.
Yeah,
that does make sense. Like in terms of because fire can be used to freeze stuff, which I think is so fascinating.
And Arthur is incredibly focused.
Incredible power. Oh.
Like he just focuses fire into a hilt to where it turns into plasma.
Hilt.
It just like
awesome.
it just makes sense.
Gives you chills. I would be down with giving this the first S. Like I think every single one is unique. And I'm not a huge fan of Fire Force, but I think that this makes like the Ignition ability makes the series.
They're unique, and then like Shinra. I never seen someone just use their obviously it's big characters like Sanji uses but to me like incorporating it with just their fighting that's the only place. That's such a weird for a main character. That's a weird place to put your main character's power. Just the feet. That's it. And then when I first started noticing how cool it is and what the weaknesses are, but what the high points are, is when Shinra was fighting Rekka. Like he's like, you use your fist, but I can fight from anywhere because I'm fighting using my feet and I can fly everywhere. That's such a cool way incorporated.
Also, the battle with like his little brother who can go the speed of light.
Yeah.
Like that's his fire ignition ability.
Yeah.
Awesome. Just awesome.
Really cool. I love it, but I wouldn't go as far because I know the other power systems that are on here. Just because of that, I would put it on the high A only.
High A? Okay, yeah, I can go with that.
Because they don't...
Better than Devil Fruits?
I don't know. I don't know enough One Piece to say that, but I do like it better than Devil Fruits.
I like Devil Fruits better, but I think it's like I was okay putting it on S, so we'll just go like this. We'll go like this for right now.
Yeah, because just because of other ones that I know, because they do progress with it. Obviously, every anime progresses with their. It's just how well they do it. And Shinra and all of them, they do get better. It's just there's not much progression to where you notice. The fights are cool, but there isn't. I feel like once you get there at a certain point, you can't level up that much anymore.
Definitely. All right, this next one is Titans. Attack on Titan.
I don't really find... This is another one that I was surprised you put in there. But if it is in there, and if we're going to put it in there, I'd probably give it like a C.
A C? Yeah.
Yeah.
You think so?
Because we're going just based off Titan powers, right?
Not everybody has Titan powers, which makes
only 9 can get them, right?
Yes, only 9. There's only 9.
And they are specific to some things they can do. They're all transforming into Titans, which is the standard base power, but some of them can do certain things, which is cool. And it is heavy to the plot, really heavy, but they're not really a power system per se. For that reason, and I guess you can train yourself to be in the Titan longer, but that's pretty much the only limit, and train what to do, like hardening. But that's pretty much it. I would put it at a C because it's not really a power system per se, and there's not much they do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, not with their powers. I'm just talking about the Titans are important themselves.
Yeah, we've talked about this in the past, how the Titans aren't. I do think the Titans are a power system. I think that they're, depending on what Titan you have, really depends on, depends on a lot of things, I think that there are some Titans that I see the use for in certain areas. I think Aaron's Titan is so overpowered at times. I think
well, he gets more as he goes
he's a jack
along.
of all trades, and then when he gets more in season 4, he becomes
because the time the time stuff
but I don't think that you can really do much with the Colossal Titan other than be an atomic bomb. In some point.
But I like how they added that because it used to just be, it's just the big Titan. But they introduced that him transforming can essentially just be a bomb, which is really cool what they added.
Off of designs alone, I would put it I would put it at a C. It has a possibility of being a B, but I think in terms of power systems, the Attack on Titan that's not what it's known for.
Yeah, it's not really
It's more of the stuff that comes with all of that stuff. But yeah, this next one, this one's going to be interesting to talk about because Edgar has just watched all the new movies, and I've been watching it since I was a little kid. Key in Dragon Ball.
I would get this. I would just put it at a C.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen that much Dragon Ball. But from what I remember in Kai, from what I've seen from the films, in the films especially, it's not really mentioned at all. They talk about levels and they talk about, get stronger, and there's forms and what the Super Saiyans and what the Saiyans can do. Like, there's obviously forms and like levels of how stronger they can get. But that's pretty much it. There's like no progression. We rarely, and especially in the movies, we don't see them train. I mean, we do, but like we don't see them get stronger. They trained, and then they because of that they were stronger.
Because that's already happened. We've already seen all the training we could in Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and
so
the
they
shows
just don't feel a need to show it.
In the shows, obviously, they would show the training. This is one of the first ones because everything after this, there's animes that copy the actual level system they use, and I feel like that's kind of like it is a foundation point for that type of thing for a power system. But I feel like that was one of the worst things to introduce in anime, in my opinion, to put a number system of level towards these like strengths and powers.
I agree. I think I remember I am a huge Dragon Ball fan. I love all things Dragon Ball. There is an argument to put it in F. And the series in a whole, right? When they introduced Ki in this series, right? They introduced it really, in reality, Ki didn't really have that much with it. We didn't know it was Ki until the Buu Saga, and that was really explained until then. Before that, it was really just power levels, and it was a number that put onto it. And then when the numbers got so arbitrarily big, because Frieza at one point in his second form, he goes, "My power level is at 1 million," and everyone was like, 1 million. And then after that, Akira Toriyama kind of realized, okay, if we just go from numbers from here and beyond, when you go beyond 1 million, what's the point of even saying it anymore?
Yeah.
So after that, they just get stronger. And then you kind of can't tell who's stronger and strongest in the Buu Saga. And then in GT, it gets really bad. And then in Super, it also gets really bad to the point where you're like, Broly is just as strong as them because the plot needs to be. Yeah. And there is an argument to put it an F. However, the beginning of Z is really well balanced in terms of,
would it be safe to say that this was the first anime or series to introduce forms, like new forms when they get stronger?
If not, I don't think it was the first to introduce it, because there was Fist of the North Star where he would transform into that, that person who could kill you.
Because I like the idea when you get stronger, you get a new form. It's something that all animes do now.
I guess you could say that forms might be a power system in Dragon Ball.
Well, not forms. It's part of the power system. I'm just saying when you get stronger, you get a new form, which this kind of popularized that idea.
It did.
So
Goku turning Super Saiyan is the biggest moment in anime history, in my opinion.
For that's like the biggest thing I would.
That is a good argument. For that alone, it should probably go above Titans.
Yeah. I'm happy putting it there.
Yeah, but in terms of like
the
it was
rules and
the rules, it was really good in the Namek and Saiyan Saga, and then after that, Akira Toriyama was just like, I don't want to do the numbers anymore, so I'm not doing it, and that's fine. Dragon Ball should not be that complicated. Yeah. But in terms of power system, it's not that great. Psychic abilities, Mob Psycho.
This one's really good.
Yes.
They don't focus so much on kind of levels of the mob specifically, but that's more to his emotional state, not his power level, because you know what I mean. Yeah. But they are really unique with their telekinetic abilities, because there are abilities from the mind. It's just a matter of how they use them, whether catching espers or being able to literally look at them, or how to destroy them, or how to use them to create fire or float things or create vines, and all these unique things. But I feel like this is a series that subtly has a power system that just cares about its plot, but also moves it just exists, but in a good way. If that makes any sense.
Like I said, this is by one, and they don't care. Like the power systems, they don't really matter that much in their series.
Like One Punch's Man, like they're there's no power system in One Punch Man. They're just
I
superheroes.
tried to find one, but I was like, but everybody gets a superpower. Some are born with it, some train towards it. So I was like, I can't put superpowers in there. It just can't.
It's kind of like that. They
thing.
just exist, but there's like nothing. Like, you know what I mean? But same with Mod Psycho, except like it's all telekinesis, but in different ways.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And there's no real training really, because Mob is like already, For that, I would probably put it at a low A, because there's like literally no progression or no anything learning wise.
There is
it's all about his emotional state story, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly. There is no learning wise, but that's not in terms of what the power system means to the story. I think it's great. Like if we look at a character like Reagan, the fact that Reagan can even exist in this story is really, really good, and the way that they describe it and they give him his kind of luck base, it's like is just good. And I think Mob's percentages, anytime they go up, I'm just like, oh, okay, let's go.
Question marks? What does that mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. So I agree with a low A. I can see some arguments to say that maybe the Hashiras are better.
Just because they're like, because the Hashiras, they specify, there's like the breathing styles, they specify on types and like how they use them in fights. But Mob Psycho, they're like they just use attacks, you know what I mean? And it seems like you can have more than one, like the one guy who can like teleport but also read your mind or whatever.
Yeah, we might look at that later on. But let's move on from now. Devils, Chainsaw Man.
This is another one like the breathing styles where I'm like, really? Is it kind of like because obviously just because it's the power, I argue it's not exactly a power system. Just because it has a power. But
I just thought it'd be interesting to talk, because since the anime isn't out, there's not really that big of discussion about the power systems about it yet.
Because the powers are just devils, or devil fiends.
But also you can make pact with devils.
You're right. Yeah.
So it makes me think, it just all of that makes me be like, okay, devils is the power system in Chainsaw Man. But it's how it's used.
I feel like this is the first one out of all these powers, except for the Titans, which is an obvious one. Because at the Titans, you get an immediate 13 years or like 14 years. Yeah. That's as long as you live. But it's not introduced, until later. And that's pretty much one of the few downsides. But with Chainsaw Man was the first one where I feel like, oh, these powers, while they're cool, they have a huge cost.
Yeah.
Or like you could either get completely taken over like a fiend would, or you lose lives or limbs, or they have
a huge drawback.
A huge barter
which
system.
We love,
And it's sad when they use them. Like the more you use, like the more whatever, like you lose.
It's exactly like, this is also why I said early Dragon Ball Z is good, because when Goku used, which you saw in Kai, when Goku used the Kaioken, it was at a big cost towards his body. Like it could destroy him from the inside. And we love that. We love powers with a drawback. That adds so much conflict to a story
and emotional attachments to our characters that we don't want to lose. Now that you mention it, this is a really good one in a sense, if you want to call it a power system. I would put it at a above Mob Psycho, below Devil Fruits, because like I said, I didn't really see it as there's no progression at all towards it, but the power
not that we know yet, as we've seen in the most recent chapter. It seems like Denji's
form has changed.
He's getting more control over it, so
they do train kind of, but like not really within their power. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it is one of the few, at least in this bunch, where like the stakes are high and the barter.
Well, especially when you make a pact, like it's like lose your eye for to use it. It's awful.
Or like, and some of them are interesting because some are like, I'm good, or like, I'll give you my power. All I want to do is see the world through your eyes because you're about to die a horrible death. I'm like, oh man, that is so chilling. So for that, I'd give it an A.
Grimoires.
We just talked about this in our recent podcast episode, and we're basically kind of trashing it.
I'm kidding.
No, maybe. Because because the magic system I argued, and forgive me if you just listened to our episode and you're listening to this now, because I'm about to say the same things I said.
We love Black Clover, by the way, just to put this.
Yeah,
out
we
here.
like Black Clover,
Yeah.
but one of the things I don't like about its magic system is, one, I feel like every type of magic within this world can basically do the same things, because like some fire users can like literally grab things with the fire.
Yeah.
And all of them can like make a type of item from their magic. Like can make arrows and bows and swords, but so can also fire. So fire no longer feels special and that much different from air magic.
It also doesn't help when our main character's ability is magic negation. Yeah. So it kind of doesn't matter what magic they have, because no matter what,
you can deflect it some way or another.
He's going to negate it.
Yeah.
You know, it's that's what's going to happen. I think it's just I just think it's the most generic. Like, I like the idea of grimoire, of the books, of the grimoires.
Yeah, but
I like the idea of it.
And when they learn, there's no real spells, but when they learn new abilities, like they get added to it. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's why I was saying the most interesting part about Noelle is her learning of that magic, you know.
And she needs an item to control her magic, you know what I mean? Which is interesting, but we don't really do. This might be the hottest take within this like tier list. I just think it's one, all kind of wishy-washy in terms of like anybody can do anything. Yeah. Two, really much of a stretch with a lot of these powers to where like, how does that correlate with each other?
I also just think it's super generic. Like, this guy has wind, this guy has lightning, this guy has, water. And I'm like, okay, but why? But what else, Yeah. I think the most unique is probably Captain Yami's, Yeah. And the teleportation guy. But other than that, I'm just like, I don't remember anybody's powers. Like, I don't remember it because I'm just like, I just feel like it just doesn't have relevance.
Yeah, for a magic world of magic, I kind of just forget about the magic because that's not really. That's like one of the lowest things about the series.
It has to be. From how much we've talked about it, it's got to be an F.
Yeah.
Yeah. That not saying that it's like the worst, right?
Yeah, because I've seen worse. There's some
I've seen worse. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I just don't like it. That's one of my least favorite things. If
we're talking about everything else we've talked about, it is the worst so far. Yeah. And something's got to go in that F tier. Yeah. Sorry, Black Clover fans.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We love you. We like the series, but this one, Edgar, I have not read. Nen from HunterXHunter.
S tier immediately, baby. Are you kidding me?
I've heard this and stands in JoJo's. I've heard is the tippy top.
Yeah, because like Nen is. Some might argue that it's one of the most confusing ones, but you go every step of the way. You learn new things.
Yeah.
The series introduces like the world, like some people can do weird things, but then you realize. There's like a power system within this, and there's a reason why they're able to do all these weird things. Yeah. And then they add these rules, and there's conditions which have stakes. So every time they power up, there's stakes, much like Chainsaw Man, and there's like limits to what they can do. And the way they introduced every like level, like there's a stronger person out there, and there's a reason for that. It's so interesting, and it's one of the best, well articulated power systems that I've ever seen. Because each fight. They go through like my power can do this, but like in this and that. I'm like feel like I'm rambling, but there's a reason why it's considered one of the top power systems.
And it
ever.
Also, I saw the little diagram with it. Like when you search it up, there's a little diagram that comes with it. It looks so simple. But I hear that the way that they use it is so unique.
Because like essentially everyone is born with a certain type, but you can choose with what you want to do with the types that you're given. And you're not just limited to that type. You can do a number of things. And there's an OP one, but there's like, it's all cool. It's like really cool. And there's moments whenever they achieve something, you're like, I never thought you could do that, but it was always there because they established the rules already, which is so cool. I love it a lot. It's great. There's a reason why it's S tier. Like a lot.
Yeah. The next one is Cursed Energy from Jujutsu Kaisen. For me,
I
know Edgar doesn't like this, but for me it is an S tier. But I'm willing to compromise towards Edgar.
I would put it in a C just because of how confusing it is.
Right.
for me, at least where I am in the story, I've only seen up to season 1 in terms of manga content, or just, like all anime watchers only.
Yeah.
I've only seen season 1. To me, this is one of the most confusing power systems ever, where I kind of just don't care or don't listen to what the powers when the powers are explaining.
Sure.
I just care about the fights, the story, and what the characters are and their relationships with each other. I care about all that. I think the power systems is one of the weakest parts of the show or the series, because it's not explained well, and you can kind of do without in terms of reading and watching the story without knowing what the power is.
I think you can do that, but I also do highly disagree. I do think it is, in terms of what I've read, I think it's the best power system I've read. I do, and I also think. But I think that might come with reading the manga. Like I know we say read the manga, but also I think it takes a couple of reads, because I've read Jujutsu Kaisen through 3 times, right? Because I love it that much. I really do like it. But when you start to really get a hang of it, and you really start to like look at those, there is a one chapter in recent times that has a whole page of a diagram of somebody's cursed energy, but it fits in with the lore because the elders, they don't like complicated cursed users. They don't like complicated cursed energy creators. And I think since the series gets more and more complicated and it's just so unique. Edgar, you have to read the manga, dog.
I know.
This most recent arc has some of the most unique powers I've ever seen in anime ever. God, it's so good. It's always their cursed energy is always within their, within their like family heritage or within their personality. Like Toto's Boogie Woogie, awesome. So good.
What's that one?
When he claps and he switches places with people. Like that fight with Hanami is so good, when he's clapping and they're like fighting him and they're like, he's clapping nonstop and they're hitting him. Oh my God, it's so good. For me, it is S tier, but let's if you say
I don't
C,
think I'm willing to put it into B if you think that highly of it.
That's fine.
For me, I get confused a lot in the manga reading with Quirks, like with My Hero Academia. I can confuse a lot in the manga, but I feel like when I watched like season 5 of anime, there's a lot of things that cleared up in terms of power and just story.
Yeah.
I just know if I was confused in the anime with everything, I feel like the manga, I'm just going to be completely lost.
I just don't think they've explained everything yet, and I appreciate that. I genuinely think if you read the manga, you would think it's A. I don't think you'll think of it as much as me, but I just think the way Gege does it is just so viscerally awesome. It's the best power system I've ever read. But
I know it's confusing as heck. I'm not alone here. I know one of the things people clown on Jujutsu Kaisen is the power systems. It's one of the funniest things. I like to joke about it, considering how much I love it. But it's just so confusing to the point to where I just kind of literally forget it. And as I continue the manga, when I do, I'm really curious to see how essential it is to the story. Because if I read the story hopefully I learn it, because if I get to the point to where Ben is and I enjoyed the story but I'm still confused, I know that my stance on it will stay the same because of how unnecessary I need to pay attention to the power system.
I think if you don't grab onto it, I think that the power system can seem as a downside, but I think give it, like, people who don't like it, give it a couple rewatches, give it a couple rereads, try to grab a hold of it, and you'll figure out that I truly think this power system is just really well versed in the lore, in the world, in the characters' personalities. I really, really enjoy this one. But that's fine. We'll meet in the middle and put it in B. Yeah. All right, this next one I'm gonna have to take up. It's Tao from Hell's Paradise.
Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, so this power system is basically it's basically like chi or like chakra. It's the energy around us that kind of creates our power, and it creates just how strong you are. It has a lot to do with emotions. It has a lot to do with our energy, with nature and all that stuff. It has a lot to do with if you have if you have intercourse with someone, that the power becomes so much more powerful. It comes from
if you're a virgin in this world, you're screwed. You're screwed, buddy.
But it also comes into play of Tao is the main one, but there's also other powers that they have, like Gabimaru, he's a ninja, so he has those ninja power, but the Tao enhances that. So one of them is like a single striking swordsman, and he uses the Tao to like easily hit people. It's just one of the coolest ones. I do think that it is. I don't think it's better than Devil Fruits, but I think it's really well done. I think it is A, so I'm gonna put it in there.
Alrighty.
All right, this next one is Chakra. Edgar, you're gonna have to take this one.
Yeah,
from Naruto.
But I'm sorry I hate to bring it to you, even though I have been somewhat versed within Chakra.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is because of my paying attention wise or caring about the story affects it, but I kind of, this one is confusing because like I'm like at a point in the story I'm like, okay, I get it, but at the same time, why or like how? You know what I mean? Like it's not explained that well, and it's like not necessary for me to like care about the power system, much like Jujutsu Kaisen's. So I'm like, oh, you're doing cool things, and I somewhat get it, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have to understand it to like for the story to progress, and it's not unique enough to do things. I remember like I don't remember that much on how they explained it. I know it has something to do with like energy, and they can do different things with it, and their ability to walk around the walls is connected to like to Chakra. And there's a way to grow it, and like the last thing I remember was like Jiraiya, which is one of the mentors, teaching Naruto how to expand on that along with his cursed energy, which he has. But it's not that explained that well to me, and I feel like it's kind of unfair for me to include this on there. I know you heard me watching it, but
then we'll just not include it if you don't feel that much.
Here's
what we'll do.
I know it's highly regarded.
There you go. No,
let's put it.
No. We'll just put it there.
No.
We'll put it there. No, everybody.
I know it's
look at it.
It's highly regarded.
Naruto, look at it.
I don't
look at it.
Want it to get trashed.
Okay,
let's put it at C.
Let's put it at C.
Let's put it at C. Just because I don't know what to do with it, but I know that it's pretty well done.
Naruto and Magic Naruto. Come on.
I know it's not as bad as Grimoire.
Okay,
I just don't remember it that well, and it wasn't enough for me to stand out.
This next one is an immediate S for me, which is the Soul Resonance or Soul Power from Soul Eater. Yeah,
this one's really good, but at the same time, it's a one where I'm like, this is the power system? I mean, like, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, much, like, because, like, but the more I thought about it, I'm like, there are rules, and there are definite ways to grow this. It is really unique because it's just power within that your aura comes from the soul, and because of this, if you're a weapon, you can increase it, and Meisters who are able to channel this energy from their weapons.
The idea that some like my best friend can turn into a weapon and I can use it, or vice versa, like that is awesome. Like I really like that.
And if you're a good enough weapon, I don't know if this was introduced yet, but if you're a good enough weapon, you don't need a Meister essentially.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And witches can use or like their magic or their energy from the soul. And use abilities through that. I don't remember how exactly, but it's still essentially the same way through their souls, which is really unique and cool.
Yeah, I just started my Soul Eater journey, so I don't know too much, but I'd be down to put this at an A above Fire Force.
I would put it just below, just because.
Just below Fire Force?
Yeah, because I feel like they don't delve that much into it. But there are a lot of rules to it, and they do. It is kind of a school setting, so there are natural ways that they explain this and introduce this pretty well, enough for you to understand. It's a really simple one the easiest ones to understand, and really cool too.
Yeah, for me it would be. I've only read 2 volumes. For me, it's an S. I love it. I'm absolutely. It's the reason why I'm so hooked on the story is because of that.
Who is that in the photo, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
I think it's Black Star getting shocked by something, or I don't know what.
When I searched it up, that's the power that they use in. That's what the picture that they used in Wikipedia.
Okay.
This next one is Alchemy, Full Metal Alchemist. Edgar, you're gonna have to take this. I have not read.
This one's really good and unique. It's like combining science with magic, essentially, because there are definite rules. Just think of, Ben, the easy way to picture this to you is like Overhaul's quirk. You can't create something without nothing. It is basically reshaping literally anything into what you want.
Yeah, you lost me. I'm gone.
I'm
But
sorry.
Keep going.
Overhaul.
No, you're fine.
Essentially, think about the molecules in the air, basically reshaping them to a science. Like, oh, I'm using these atoms to change it into different atoms. Essentially.
Oh, I mean, alchemy. I mean, in things like The Witcher, alchemy is basically a mixture between magic and science.
That's basically what this is. It's like you have to know. Like, this isn't really a spoiler, but they try to figure out.
It's fine. I'll forget it anyway.
That's okay. The main character is trying to figure out how to create a human when they're dead. If you're using if you're trying to create a human, how would you do that? Well, humans are made of carbon and this and that. So they literally try to figure out what humans are made of and try to like make them. And it is explained really well, and they all make sense. Essentially, you're just trying to rewrite atoms in a way. That's pretty bizarre. And some are very specific. They use fire, and you have to always have a circle, an alchemy circle, to use them. So, but Edward, which is the main character, can do it simply by clapping his hands and channeling the energy.
Boogie woogie. No,
yeah, no, kind of.
Where would you put this, Edgar?
I would put it in an S tier just because of how relative it is to the plot and story.
Better?
No, not as good as Nen.
All right, good.
But it is really well explained, fairly simple, and pretty grounded.
Yeah.
And not OP at all. And it's just perfect. No flaws.
No.
Like, and really, like.
So this is when we get to the stretches.
Yeah, I'm like,
I was
what?
like, this actually would have been enough to make a video. So I probably just should have done that. But I got these 4 other ones that I thought would be fun. So Pokemon, I was searching it up and I was like, oh my God, Pokemon is a power system.
I know there's types.
Is a power system. There's types and there's all this stuff.
And levels
and
technically in the game.
was an anime. So they made a whole video game about it, which is, it's a good, balanced video game, like with the types, and certain types are bad against other certain types. However, if we look at the anime, did the anime use this the best? No,
not really.
The anime was more of an adventure, an adventure kind of just fun. It was not about the Pokemon battles like the game is.
Yeah.
There are Pokemon battles that happen, but it's not really, it's not the main part of it. So
this is a fairly simple one. I guess I put it at a high C or low B if we're talking about the video game, because
I don't think it's better than Key though.
Okay, but, then I agree with you, because I wouldn't put it in here to begin with.
If it's the video game, S tier.
But I like how there are types, and that there are some that complement others while others harm others.
If we're doing video games like power systems, it's S. But it's not. We're talking about the anime at this point.
Yeah.
So this is an anime, but I added it.
I would not put this in here, but I can understand.
I put it in here.
I can understand why you would put it in
cry,
here.
Anime fans, cry. Well, but it's not an anime. Yes, we know, but it's anime inspired. So we take this bending.
No needs explaining. I would just put it at a S, probably below Nen, in between Alchemy. Like
yeah, I agree.
Just because of how super easy it is, and it's kind of grounded in the sense to where like everything what they do, it just makes sense. It's easy to understand. If you're a water bender, you could essentially also bend ice and fog, anything with precipitation in it, or water like blood bending. It's all easy to understand.
Yeah,
and it's
the fact that there are sub elements as well make it really, really interesting.
Yeah,
it just always amazed me how the creators found new ways to make bending just more like crazy. I really loved that. This next one I'm gonna have to take over. This is from Vagabond, and it's the
Isn't
way.
that a
it's
historical?
It's the way of the sword is the power system.
What?
Hear me out.
Hear about this. How about the way of the gun in the real
the
world?
way of the gun. However, the way of the sword is, it's akin to real life, but it is the power system in Vagabond. It's how good of a grasp you have on the way of the sword. It also becomes a way of, we see people training the way of the sword, and we figure out how you train the way of the sword. It also has philosophical elements about it. You have to kind of, and as it's really similar to how I see my acting, in that you kind of have to let go of all attachments. If you think about anything else, you could lose your life. If you think too hard about it, you stiff up and lose. It's a really, really, really good power system in the sense of, it is akin to real life, but the way of the sword is what the power system of this manga is.
So are there attacks like Demon Slayer's breathing styles? Or like
No,
that
it's just swords.
So I would say that Vagabond's like a soft magic system, while Demon Slayer's a hard magic system.
Yes.
In Red Sword. While there is essentially
there are stuff that happen in Vagabond that you're like, that's probably not what Miyumoto Musashi did in real life, you know. But there are because there are attacks that you're like, that probably didn't happen. But there are some stuff about it that you're like, yeah, it is kind of mystical, you know.
Yeah. So it's like kind of like one's like vague and like, you know, they're rules, but they're not really, you know, they're kind of fluid. And Demon Slayer's like, here are the types. Here are the here's strongest and like where they were.
Like I said, these last 4 are a stretch.
Yeah.
So I just put them in them to have fun and just kind of talk about.
I'll leave it to
like,
you.
If you take our tier list too seriously, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah.
You know. But if it's Vagabond, I'm gonna put it at the highest of A tier.
Okay.
So yeah. Because
What is this next one? Because what the heck?
The power of science.
What about muscles? Is that a second power system in this world? Because apparently it is.
I mean, I guess it can be.
Yeah.
But that can be explained with science. You know,
there's not really
muscles.
If this was an actual power system, Seku's like too OP. Like in that
Yeah,
sense.
I mean,
And
it is.
He's
It
like
is,
he's
yeah.
like he's like Goku, and then Vegeta Vegeta is like Zeno, Dr. Zeno
Yeah.
in the manga. But why this isn't a power system? Intellect is an actual thing in the real world.
When we talk about, you know, because it is an actual thing in the real world, but it's basically
It's never really measured.
It is
kinda.
well. It isn't measured, but it is well explained, and also the antagonist also uses it. So it's whoever has the best science power, the best use of the science. So there is logic to my crazy, you know.
Obviously, logic.
you know.
It literally uses logic. Like
Yeah.
logic is logic, but thinking about it as a power system is
Yeah.
super dumb.
It is
but-
dumb. It is dumb. But I think if you like, I think it can be seen that way.
It's
However,
unfair in the sense if you're stupid, you're probably not gonna be able to advance any further in the
Kaiju
world.
is screwed.
Yeah, bro.
But I think it's, you know, I think that there are power systems, you know, that we can look at. You know, Captain Obi doesn't have, you know, firepower, and he's still able to exist and be powerful in that world. So, you know, Zoro doesn't have a devil fruit, but he can still be, you know, powerful. I think that you can still be a powerhouse, just like, you know, what the first battle of this is Tsukasa having too much like strength, and how science overcomes that. We stated this before in our like second podcast, in that Senku, the way that science is explained in Dr. Stone is brilliant, and the fact that the story even exists is amazing. It is a really, 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 really good manga, and the way that it does that is really, really great.
As a power system, though,
As a power system,
I probably put it as C because it's unfair and just like doesn't make any
it's just
sense.
science,
Like-
you know. However, Dr. Stone is an amazing manga, but you know, we put it right here. The only thing I would change for my personal list is Jujutsu Kaisen would be just below HunterXHunter.
So would I. I would put Jujutsu Kaisen at an F.
You put Jujutsu as an F?
Just because of how confusing it is.
Jeez.
I literally don't like it. That is like the
Yeah.
worst and only thing. It doesn't bother me. I would
Yeah.
give Jujutsu Kaisen like a high rating of like a 9 out of 10 in terms of story and like everything else. It's just I could care less about it. I couldn't care less about
Yeah.
it. But
But take it from me,
Yeah.
who has read the manga, it's an S for me. So yeah.
take it from me that you're wrong. I just can't like with
You're
these
fine.
three.
You're
It's
fine.
just I can't imagine like. Obviously, I haven't read the manga.
Yeah.
I just feel like
I think these three, depending on who you are, they can go anywhere. So I think it's good that we put them on B, because there are people who think that this is an S. There are people who think this is here. There are people who absolutely hate Quirks. There are people who absolutely love Quirks.
No, you can't.
know, so-
I just know there are certain things in anime, even with things I don't watch. I know that stands and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Nen are an S tier, and I felt like I never seen anyone really go as far to say that cursed, you know, the power system of Jujutsu Kaisen is anywhere near that. Maybe an A if I keep reading the manga. I just feel like I've never seen that before.
I don't think it's had that conversation yet because the anime is not fully complete. Like Alchemy and Nen is.
Probably I want to revisit this way later because I would like to include stuff to fairly rate Naruto's Chakra. I would like to know the devil fruits and the other power system that haven't been introduced yet, and I would like to put in Bleach here because I feel like people would get mad. Like, where's Spirit Pressure? I haven't read it. I feel like
we haven't read it, guys.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
Also, this is loosely based just because like Attack on Titan is an S tier anime, but the power system is not. It's just not there that much.
Yeah, some I wouldn't even call these power systems.
Yeah, no, definitely not. But I needed a video.
Yeah.
So.